At this point, I wanted to go ahead and take a few minutes to review some of our historical and sometimes hysterical virtual systemic inquiry undertakings. As while I didn't realize it initially, after I thought about it for a while, um, the definition of virtual systemic inquiry was itself a virtual systemic inquiry, and it's sort of bootstrapped the definition as we have continued to use it on different endeavors. The things that we learn are in fact being fed back into the definition so that we hopefully are getting smarter about what we're doing. There are days that I think we are, and then there are days that I wonder when we're going to get smart enough to figure out how to get this stuff right. Though the first real undertaking was led by Kent Myers. It was referred to as power grid systems. It was an attempt to figure out an approach to developing a power grid that integrated the existing um, electrical generating capabilities with the new renewable energy sources. This this effort was, I think, pretty successful. Produced a relatively informative paper by Kent and a number of people. Oh, and for most of the case studies I'm going to talk about, there are links on the Systems Wiki focus page for um, this this particular module. The next attempt was because there were so many pieces associated with developing a virtual systemic inquiry. We were trying to figure out, would it in fact be beneficial if we had an online environment that actually guided a group through the process of developing a systemic inquiry. And so we implemented a process in an online process management environment. And what we found out was that at the moment the undertaking needs a lot of flexibility to it. It needs an environment that's not too rigid. So we uh, we finally decided against doing this, and there isn't a link to what we found out about this online. We just decided that at this point it needs a lot more flexibility. The hypertension intervention undertaking was done by George McDonald, and it was an attempt to understand approaches to treating hypertension. It started out with a concept model and led to a closed loop diagram, and there's actually a simulation online that resulted from this undertaking. Knowledge-based utilization was an attempt by me. In the 90s, I spent a number of years helping high-tech organizations implement knowledge bases, hopefully to improve the performance of customer support organizations. Some of the undertakings were successful, and some of them we wanted to be a lot more successful than they were. And I wanted to investigate what it was that we were doing right and what it was that we needed to do better. This particular effort stalled because I misdefined the effort initially, resulting in a bunch of confusion amongst the participants, and it essentially got derailed. I actually want to go back and do this one again some point in the future. The PSA test was an attempt to develop a set of guidance for a 65-year-old man that shows up at the doctor to help them decide whether or not they should in fact have a PSA test done because of the pros and cons associated with it. We did a lot of research, identified a lot of the pros and cons, and there is in fact access to a dialogue map online that we developed as a result of this effort. The Sustainable Business Forum was an attempt to identify the most appropriate form for a business in a sustainable environment, though, and the this effort was attempted using a method called scintigraphy, which was developed by Stafford Beer and wasn't meant to be done online, and there was a lot of churning uh, as the definition of how to proceed got defined and redefined and redefined, and the undertaking sort of, the participants, I think, lost interest because of the ongoing redefinition, so that this stalled and didn't actually go anywhere. The Systems Thinking World Journal is an undertaking by Barry Clemson to establish a peer-reviewed journal for the Systems Thinking World group. That effort has actually turned out extremely well. All of the policies and procedures are in place. The management team associated with the journal have self-selected, and I think there's been 5 peer-reviewed articles published in the last couple of months, and this one seems to be quite successful. And I think it was successful because of the efforts of Barry Clemson to continue to refine, define, and focus the endeavor so that it never managed to get derailed by any of the people that showed up, um, and simply kept at it. So well done, Barry. And currently, enabling a systems thinking world, which is actually the premise under which Systems Thinking World was started 2.5 years ago, it's now actually being undertaken as a more formal effort, though it's moving a little slowly at the moment because I'm currently all tied up redoing all of these modules in 1+1 = format, and I need to get back to it before it self-destructs. So, as I said, the links to most of these efforts, the ones which had survivable results, there are links on the focus page for this video. I hope that you have found this overview of the case studies informative. Each time we do something, attempt something, we're trying to figure out what it is that we're doing right and what we're not doing right, what we need to do better, and feeding it back into the definition of the method so that hopefully we'll be more successful in the future. As I've indicated, things continue to get better with feedback, so if you have comments, don't hesitate to send them to me at systemswiki@gmail.com. Bye.